What up, y'all? What happens when you bring a pastor, a marriage coach, an educator, and 3 clinicians all together on one platform with no script, no pre-planned questions, with just one goal?
To have real, raw, relevant conversations that bridge the gap between mental health and wellness, marriage and relationships, including those who are single, who are seriously pursuing love.
We dive deep into the struggles, the healing, the growth, and the wins that come from building healthy relationships, starting especially with the one you have with yourself.
Like I always tell couples, you not the problem, your spouse is not the problem is the problem.
Every episode begins with an unscripted question, and where the conversation goes, nobody knows. I'm telling you right now, even we don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry, what?
I mean,
you don't take their home, you can't get mad when they wrong.
But one thing's for sure, you're about to get truth, transparency, and transformation.
Hey, listen, you know what I learned from a client? She and her husband used to create these characters, and they would like meet up at a hotel somewhere. They were married, but this is how they spiced up their marriage.
Talking about role playing?
I got a question for you. I want everybody to answer it. What would your role be? I see Terry in the Terry's in the green room. I'm not gonna let him off the hook. Hey Terry, how you doing? Question. Go ahead.
You know I heard that whole conversation, right?
I love it.
Welcome to another episode
of Unscripted, the Bridge Edition.
Man, I'm a little excited tonight. Hey, for those who are on with us right now, wow, just share this with others, share this with your friends, your neighbors, your enemies, your frenemies, your exes. I'm looking for Quest. Where you at, Quest? Where you at? There you go.
I'm right here.
Oh,
I'm just saying we moving up in the world. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
The intro is very official. You know
what I'm saying? What was that little button you pressed? Because I just got a new toy. I was showing Sade. You want to hear it?
Yeah, let me hear it.
Yeah, you sure?
Yeah.
You sure?
Okay.
Yeah. If you're doing a remix or what?
You got a little toy there? Yeah, that's very official. I like that. And just enough where yeah, and I know that's a nutshell. Yep, that's nutshell right there. Yep. Yo. Since that's what we doing tonight, you know what I'm saying? Just bits and pieces, because we don't want to get in no trouble.
We don't want to get.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I'm learning this thing.
Don't worry. We can talk. You know what I'm saying? And that's enough because I don't want to get in no trouble.
You're right. We don't want no problems, right?
We don't want no problems. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Welcome to another edition. You know what I'm saying?
Stop. We don't want no problems.
Welcome to another edition of the Bridge Unscripted Live. Let me tell y'all something. It's about to go down 6 the hard way. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Minus Amina, because she can't be with us tonight. But you know what I'm saying? Outside of me and Dr. P up there, we got Leah, you know what I'm saying? Chapman over there, you know what I'm saying? Mills Chapman, you know what I'm saying? Then we got the educator up there, you know what I'm saying? Shaw Dizzle, you know what I'm saying? Darlington, you know what I'm saying? I know Terry will be on at some point in time. And shouts out to Mina, who won't be on with us tonight, man. But welcome to another edition. P, this is exciting, man.
I'm excited. Hey, listen, man, I recognize that
Mhm,
you
mhm,
guys have been blowing up the chat.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
look at that. Somebody said, y'all lucky I'm in building committee meeting.
Oh
Oh,
yeah. Well, man, hurry up and get
Get
out of
out. Come
building
on.
committee meeting and come on over, man. And
That's
stop
right.
playing.
Leah,
And
you're
stop playing.
muted.
Leah, we can't hear you, sis.
Yeah. Come on. Oh, there we go. There we go.
Appreciate it.
Don't play
All
with
right,
it.
back to Pat though. He needs to dip.
Yeah, you
Put
know
up
what
a
I'm saying?
pointer finger.
You know what I'm saying? And walk
Make
on
it
out.
on up.
And walk on out.
And walk on out. Hey, P, I got something exciting for everybody. We've been waiting weeks and weeks and weeks to do this.
Okay.
Shouts out to Sade, who's been putting the pieces together in the background. Shouts out to AB, who's been doing, of course, all of our media work.
Indeed.
You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I'm just going to do it like this right here, post it right here. For those who may be watching, and we'll do it at another time later on. What you see there is the new YouTube link for the Bridge Unscripted live. And so what we want everybody to do is click that link right there and start subscribing right now. As a matter of fact, stop what you're doing, click that link and hit subscribe. For those that are not on yet, we'll share it again later on in the program. But for the here and now, we want to make sure, because soon and very soon, we're shifting everything that we're doing from all of our platforms and moving it directly to YouTube. And we'll do it live the same way we do it here, just on a different platform. So everybody, please click that link you see right there in the chat, that link right there, and go on and start subscribing. And yeah, it's about to be lovely, y'all.
Wow.
I'm psyched.
I'm excited about this.
Psyched, bro.
Somebody
I'm
should put
psyched.
the link here. Put the link here.
I'm psyched.
Pastor Philip Baptiste. He's a big general conference man. So we got to be really careful. We don't want to offend the general conference man. You know what I'm saying?
Big up the GC.
You know, Ward, man. She's the we don't call her stewardess anymore. She's the flight attendant. So she is gonna take us to a new height. Hello, everyone.
Come on.
The captain's speaking. The captain's
Come on.
speaking. And I'm gonna say it like this, right? Here we go. Because I'm gonna feel really good about this because I learned.
Doing a remix or what?
Oh, yeah, boy.
Oh, that's my last one. That's my last one. All right, good. That's my last one. He said, listen, he said, stop it, bro. He said, stop it, bro. So, hey, man, you and Leah and Armina y'all been throwing some stuff up, man.
I've been trying to get in there with him today too, man, and I got tied up doing some stuff.
Ooh, I don't want to think like that. They're trying to get us to think. I don't want to think.
Yeah.
I don't want to think at all.
We got to use the whole brain sometimes. Left and right side.
At least the 10% we can use.
That we have access to.
Or just the frontal. Can
You
we
know what I'm saying?
that?
This part right here. This part right here.
He said,
There.
just the frontal.
This
I said no Knicks talk.
no Knicks talk. No Knicks talk.
So listen, man. There's a lot has been going on this week. And so somebody posted in our chat about this sister, posted about this chat about a sister, but I posted this before, and someone shared it, the one that I have. Someone shared it, and they got cussed out, totally cussed out. And it's funny because when I listened to it, I didn't find anything wrong with it, until I saw all the women talking about what you say, what she said. So I want us to gear up, man. I want us to look at what this sister says, and I want us to kind of, hear your thoughts on it.
Shade, we both look. We've been in sync. Like my head hurting already. Here we go.
What did she say? Because I'm missing out. What happened?
No, first of all, we won't get dinged for it because it's like a share.
Okay.
Instagram
We
thing.
won't get dinged for it. So one of the biggest things that I have found is when I grew up, men had roles. Okay. Right. When I grew up, men had roles. And I think a lot of times we are really saying that roles are up to the couples, right? It's up to the couples what the roles are. Like if my wife wanted to take out the garbage and that's what she does, and I'm just saying, and I wash the clothes, it's what we decide. It's not what we culturally go by. We shouldn't be what we culturally go by. It should not be. But I also find that we find a lot of women who are talking about the roles of men. We have the same roles. We're equal, separate, whatever it is. I just think that I just think that personally, that when we look at this, we can kind of come to an understanding some way, somehow, how women may think and how men may think as it pertains to their covering. Now, I'm gonna say this before we even begin. I believe that my wife should be covering me. Right? I do. I also believe I should be covering her. I do believe that. But when we listen to this, the question is, oh wait, let's pause.
Yep.
Ash, Stephen.
You're Letarian too.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. That when we look at this, I'm wondering where our mindset might be on this. Right now, you know us, we don't got to agree with everything. And you guys don't know what I'm about to talk about, what I'm about to show you. You may know who I'm about to show you, but what I'm about to show you. This sister be getting a lot of flack, but I'm going to put it out there and let's see where we are. I'm going to ask everyone at this time, if you are online with us, I see while this number is climbing, if you just share this with someone, share this with just share this with someone, because we don't want to go back over it again and again, but we want to look at this about 5 minutes long, and then let's jump in and see where the clinicians are going to take us, see where the coaches are going to take us, and we want to hear what you got to say. Hey, good night, Ash. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Christine, good to see you all the way from, I think that's the Atlanta area. Good to see you. Good to see you. And then Sheena started the nonsense already, where she says, we've managed to emasculate the males, and women are so masculine now, they won't even let men be men.
Yep, I can feel the tension already. It's about to pop off in here tonight.
Let's go with
we
this.
on
Let's
fire tonight.
Let's go with this. Let's go with this. Let's go with this. Let's go. All right.
God made Adam a suitable helpmate. And he made that helpmate not because she's weaker, but because God has given men a capacity and a responsibility that women do not have. And we have to be honest about it. We can say he's not a man, he doesn't know how to lead, he doesn't whatever. There's still a capacity inside of him that God did not give us as women. And one of the biggest examples that I can give of that, imagine it's raining and you're in New York City. And if you've ever been to New York City or in France and it starts raining and people start selling umbrellas on the street, those $5, $10 umbrellas, they're not worth much, but they get the job done until you get home. Imagine you have that man. You have the man that gets the job done, isn't anything special, but he gets the job done. That man, no matter how little you view him, is made to handle the rain. You were not made to handle the rain, but you were made to hold up that which can handle the rain. If you didn't have that umbrella, you would come back home smelling like what you were poured on, what poured on you. When a man comes back in as that umbrella, he gets dried quickly, water repellent, it falls off of him, and no matter how equipped you thought he still was built for the rain. The difference also, some of you want that Neiman Marcus umbrella. Some of you want the wood handle. Those things are heavy. And if God gave you a man like that, then you have to be the woman that can hold up that man. Because an umbrella that is not used, it can be for the rain, for the sun. It shields, it provides shade. It allows what's under it not to be touched. We are the vessel, not weaker. We are the vessel that was meant to let the one that God gave us be held up and used for what he was made. So now as a wife, I want to say, I don't want to get wet. I don't want to sunburn. My skin's not built for that. So instead, I'm going to let the man be who he was meant to be. And if God gave me, which he did, my man's about as heavy as this table. That means God made me capable of holding him up. If my man is not doing what he was made to do, it's because I, as his wife, am not holding him up. One thing I will credit myself to is that that man can come and do what God has him to do, because on the back end, he is being held up and held down. Not about me, but to say this about submission. If you think submission is because the man is doing what you believe is right for a man to do, then you've missed your assignment before God. God will bless your obedience as being a wife. The Bible's full of it. Ephesians and Corinthians in the Old Testament. Just start looking for them. And please read Love and Respect. It will change your life. Submission does not make you a weaker vessel. It just makes you the part of the machine that is needed to function, but entrusting somebody else's responsibility that's what they were made for, to do what God has made them to do. So I value submission. Submit one to another is not in the same way. He is not going to submit to me the way I'm going to submit to him. That's not even biblical. As he submits to Christ, so I submit to him who has submitted to Christ. If God has made the man the head of the house to love his wife as he is to love the church, God is going to hold him to a standard. God is also going to hold you to a standard. And it's not going to be dependent on, did you value him, or did you do right by him because he did right by you, or you did right by him because you did right by what God commanded you to do. You will see a dynamic transformation inside of your home when you begin to obey his word. Submission is our safety as wives. Submission is your safety as a wife. Whether you have, because I want to believe if you married him, he has good intentions. Even if he doesn't have, or if you're with him, or if you love him, it's because you believe that's a good person, even if they don't have it together yet. Keep trusting God, but allow your heart to not be tainted if he's doing right by you. God will make him do right by you. God knows how to reach the man that he gave you so that you don't suffer and cry, so your child doesn't suffer and cry, and so you don't live in a house that is just like what you've always seen. You will be the chain breaker of marriages and relationships and love in this life if you just do it God's way.
Amen.
Man.
If I were, then I were. I love the way you brought Terry back in here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because I'm looking at faces in the green room. Okay, bro. I'm looking at faces in the green room. So I need.
You said I can't see the green room. There's a lot of sourness in the green room. Is that what you said?
Listen, all I saw was Saudi were like this. So let's go, y'all. Let's go. First of all, I'm so glad to see y'all. After this, I'm so glad to see y'all. I cannot wait to see where your mind is. Now, Jamar says you got a few issues with this. Yeah. Okay, you got a few issues. That's a man. All right, that's a man. He's a man. That's a man. Sheena says she agrees. Yeah. Wendy just waiting to see what people got to say. Look at that.
We just trying to see what pops off tonight.
You know what I'm saying?
Daryl says her metaphors are like A+.
A+.
Or what have you know. So I'm waiting to see what your mindset is on what she said. Now listen, it doesn't have to be right, wrong, or whatever. I'm just saying, where's your heart? Where's your heart on this? And Jamar, I just want you to know that if you don't mind, you can always hit me on my online or on my phone, and I'll send you a link to jump in if you want. And especially you know who. Let me show you. You know who. That's his wife. All right. So from there to right here, if you want to jump in, just hit me up. Okay?
Can you share what Lonnie said? Yes.
Oh, of course. He said your umbrella needs his foot rubbed.
My.
You're muted again, Leah.
That's my dude.
Leah, stop.
Mute.
That's my guy.
I was trying to be respectful because I didn't know if when the video was being played and I was over here, murdering. But no, that joker broke 2 of his toes this week, and so that's why he's talking about his umbrella.
He did what?
Broke 2 of his toes. So
all the posting that you were posting before wasn't you, it was him?
Him.
Lonnie Love,
the baby.
Okay.
Anyway, let's get back to the umbrella.
All right, let's go. Because your umbrella got a wooden. Okay. So
who want to start? Because listen,
I want you to start.
I want to hear from y'all first. I want to hear from the gentleman on the today.
We got to hear back in the cut.
Continue. Don't get quiet now.
This is my personal
My
belief.
wife is on. So
My personal but there was one thing that she said, because I know what the argument is sometimes, is that sometimes the focus is always on the woman and what she need to do, and we don't have responsibilities, or none of the responsibilities are placed on us as to where, how we should conduct ourselves. So we're free to do what we want to do. And the woman is not, doesn't have that same luxury, if you will. One thing she said to me that ties it all together for me, and she said, God knows how to reach the man that he gave you. Mm-hmm. And if that be the case, right? Then there was something else that she said. Now, I know that the Bible for fact says submit one to another. I know that. But she also stressed that you submit to him as he submits to Christ. Those are the defining pieces for me in this entire piece, right? The other stuff you can, there's always going to be views as far as that's concerned. But the question at the end of the day for me is, are we operating according to how the Bible lays it out? And if we are, then yeah, I'm good.
But you said something very critical. And my ear also went to the God-given man. The one that God gave you.
Not the one that you.
We've touched on that beforehand, is sometimes we have stepped into the seat of God.
Yeah.
And so we act prematurely. We do not consult, right? And get insight back from God. And so a lot of us are in relationships, and not me. I mean, the Lord finally got me to a place where I was willing to listen and stop doing Leah.
I'm sorry, Leah. Can you slow down when you say that? And the reason why I'm asking you to do that is because there are 1,000,001 women, there are 1,000,001 men who continue to do relationship the way they want to do relationship, and then when it ends in the way that they didn't expect for it to end, because they was doing it the way that they wanted to do it, they blame everybody, God included, except the person who made the decision.
No, I see the opposite. I see people who were doing it this way, thinking they were doing what God wanted. And
who's that? Who's that? Oh, is that Pee Wee?
Wait a second. Wait, Pee Wee, was that Dee Dee?
Oh snap! Oh, we're on.
Yeah, you are on. We just heard your thoughts, Dee Dee.
I thought another video was playing.
I
was like,
who was that? That's not my voice. No.
I was like, that ain't my voice neither.
That ain't my voice.
No, that's Dee Dee. That's Dee Dee. I'm sorry. We're just coming from the jerk pit. We just picked up some Jamaican food, and we got on and heard everything going on.
Don't do it.
So we had on our mind some jerk wings and some.
No, but
wait, jerk is in Ann Arbor. You ain't in Ann Arbor.
Dee Dee has a good point.
Our take from the couch, and both of us are clinicians. Both of us are licensed clinicians, and we do this full time, and see a lot of couples. And a lot of what we're seeing from the couch is not people who did things their own way. What we are seeing, people who did things God's way, who were into this version of submission that I think sometimes gets put out there erroneously, and it didn't work out. We're seeing more of that than people who were doing their own thing.
What I think Leah was speaking to was not necessarily the submission part, but the selection part, right? That selection part. I think a lot of times we can make ourselves believe God is calling us to a certain person because that's what we desire. But that is not who God has purpose for us. But he graces us through that whole situation to where you're still protected, you're still provided for. But Sade gets to make a choice as to who she wants to marry.
And usually your choice is what?
And my choices have not been the best, right? But if I would have married said person, right, I would have been in a covenant with someone that God graced me to marry, not necessarily purposed me or had for me to marry, because Sade gets to make her own decisions. But the thing I want to say about the metaphor she used is that she said if you get caught in the rain, then you just want whatever's available. You'll take that $5 umbrella because you're caught unprepared.
Wow.
Caught unprepared. So therefore that $5 umbrella and that $10 umbrella looks attractive to you because you're not prepared. But if you sit and look at, okay, what's the weather today? Let me make sure I have my covering, right? Because I think a lot of people think their covering comes with marriage. I'm covering myself right now, right? I'm praying for myself. I'm in the word myself. I am devotioning myself. So a $5 umbrella when I have my own isn't attractive, but I think a lot of times there are people who, when times are desperate, whatever's available, I'm going to grab and I'm going to pray that it does what I needed to do.
Okay, so let me just pause for a second. Didi, is that where the mindset you are coming from with the whole metaphor thing? It's not can't always work in marriages?
I think it's a bad take. I think it's a problematic take, and I think that take is damaging to marriages. I think it puts a lot of responsibility on women to be responsible for the actions of men. And I see a lot of women carrying that into other situations where there's harm going on. So now, he's out there cheating on me, but I was graced to be in this. Like, I think recently there was a lady who went viral on social media with a disturbing take, I think, about how she was graced to stay in a marriage with a lot of emotional abuse and cheating that was going on. And, her argument was like, God gave me the grace for this. And I think that's a troubling take, especially in a spiritual context where it's coming from the church. Everybody now thinks they're built to stay in these kind of harmful, destructive relationships. And I think sometimes we get into what I have termed, and I'm learning how to deal with, what I've termed the magical Jesus, where we expect Jesus to do magic. And I know that God is capable of doing anything in any situation, but I think sometimes we apply our will and what we want to see in a situation and try to make it Jesus. And I don't know if it's always that.
Yes, I have to add to this. Now, I'm sitting here with a woman who is now Dr. Damaris Crawl, okay? And no, I'm gonna promote that. Come on, stop it.
Hold on, pause. Promote it, umbrella. Go ahead.
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
But here's the thing, though. I said that because I'm not with a woman who is soft, and I'm not with a woman who is submissive to just anything.
Right.
Okay. She's intelligent. She is smart. She has an opinion, and I need to value that. And when we talk about submission, we got to be really careful with that word, because what does submission look like in the Bible days versus now? It does not look the same. And the whole problem I have with the umbrella scenario is that when she talks about holding it up, it seems like your man can't function or do what he needs to do unless he's being held up. It's like, where's the accountability for the man? Like, wait a minute. You're saying the only way this man can function and do what he needs to do is if a woman is holding him up? No. No, that takes away my ability to actually be a man, because that says in a narcissistic way that I can only do this if you, and the only reason this happened is because you didn't hold me up. Like, no, we got to be careful with that as men. There's a movie, and I'm gonna stop right here. There's a movie that I like to watch, The Godfather. There's a part in The Godfather where he says men can't afford to be careless. Women can be careless. And I said, why did he say that? And I looked at his life as a gangster. He can't afford to be careless or slip. And he can't afford to allow his wife to be the one to hold up the family. He's got to be the one to be there and be the rock because of his lifestyle. Now, I'm not a gangster. I don't kill people. But I took that into consideration. If my mindset is I can't afford to slip or fall or be careless, and that's what I'm carrying, now this smart woman beside me is going to say, you know what? I can get behind that. I can submit to that because you're not going to lead me over the cliff because of what your standard is. And your standard is I'm going to put God first and family first, and I can follow that. I can't follow somebody who's depending on me to hold your legs up. That's no.
Oh, well, she's depending on you to hold her legs up.
Okay, come back.
I'm just saying. Well, I'm.
Come back, Paul. Come back.
What?
Wow.
I mean, what?
Is
She's
that what
depending
you
on you,
took
bro.
from that?
I'm just telling you, in all cases, she's depending on you.
T had his hand up real quick. T, let's get it in. Let's get it in, Terry.
So, okay.
Look at D's face. Look at D's face in the car. She's like, let me just get this jerk going. And I want to share something with you before you go ahead, Terry. Pee-wee and Didi, let me just share this with you. When I posted this about maybe 3 weeks ago, somebody else posted this, right? And when they posted it, they got into a lot of hell. I'm telling you, if you look at it, they were tearing him up. What was crazy was that when I saw it, I was all in, like 100% all in. And then when I saw the ladies talking, I was like, I never saw that perspective before. I'm saying, I'm that umbrella, I'm that so-and-so. And here it is that you just said it, Leah, and then you just said it, Didi, that, Sade, that, okay, so any cheap will do. As long as it's raining, any cheap would do, which cheapened, which I've never saw it before. It cheapened the relationship. It cheapened not just the relationship, but it also, in what you said, Sade and Didi, what it also did was cheapen what God wanted a man to do. All right, I'm gonna go ahead. Terry, go ahead.
And I think I saw it, Paul, I might have saw this like about 4 weeks ago, like you did. It was a while ago.
Okay.
And she has a lot of good points, but in my opinion, she's failing to make the links. You see what I'm saying? She's all over the place. She says something good here, then she says something good, and then she falls off over here, and she's trying to piece it together, but it's not clicking for me. I know where she's trying to go with it, and I think that there are some good things she said, and then there's some things that kind of like, well, wait a minute, hold on. And so, as the gentleman said here, in the car with his wife, we cannot. This is why we look at exegesis and hermeneutics. You see what I'm saying? It's exactly the reason why. Now, Paul, this may be up your feet. You can tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Right.
When we take scripture and take things literally, as it were, growing up, we always heard what? You ain't got to interpret the Bible what? Just do what it says. You see what I'm saying? Just do what it says. So if we do that, then guess what? Every man on this show tonight is dead.
Wow.
Every man on this show tonight is dead. Because I think it's Deuteronomy 25, stone a rebellious son. When were we not rebellious? We're all dead. If we're taking it, you see what I'm saying? If we're not, so exegesis does what? Let's look at the scripture. The original writer, what was he talking to? Who was he talking to? And what time that was? Versus hermeneutics, how do we take that scripture then and apply it to our lives today? That's what that means. You can't say, you hear guys talking about, man, I want a traditional woman. You don't work. So how are you traditional? You're moving in with her. How are you traditional? She's not a virgin. How is she traditional? Traditional men and women don't exist anymore. The mindset, you can have a traditional mindset. And I think that's where she's trying to go with this thing. But it's missing pieces for me. I hear what she's saying because women were always told what? You're supposed to stick yourself up under your husband's umbrella, even if it does leak. Because God is going to do what? She kind of pointed it out. What did she say? He's going to reward her obedience just like he did what? Save Sarah from Abraham's mistake. I don't know how Abraham made the mistake, but that's another discussion because it was brought to him. Okay, if you down, I'm down. All right, so what I'm saying is when we look at, when people come on with this type of stuff, you have to be very careful because as you saw tonight, okay, everybody has their opinion about it. This is 2025, not 1925. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And so therefore, there were a lot of people who jumped on her bandwagon. Had it been 1920, you wouldn't even be having this discussion because why? Everybody knew their roles, but roles changed. You see what I'm saying? Over time. And you have to be comfortable because sometimes there's a thing called role reversal. And in relationships, to me, in my opinion, you got to know your strengths and your areas of improvement. If you are a person who cannot handle such, but your partner can, they need to be allowed to do that. They need to be allowed to do that. And so we're in a different time where you have men staying at home and women going out to work, and women are making more than men, and men feel less than. See, this is where she's coming from, where it's like, you got to uplift people, you got to uplift, you got to uplift, you got to uplift them. Okay. And so marriages work, but do I got work to get there? Should not always be. I remember we talked a while ago when it's what's the scripture? The man who findeth the wife findeth the good thing and finds favor in the Lord. I'm not, marriage don't make her a wife. She already got to be a wife. Where did she learn that from? She should have learned it from who? From home, from her mother. She should already be. I'm not going to marry you and make you a wife. You should already be there. Just like I should already be a husband when I come into that thing. I got to know what it is I got to do. Help me suitable for. I think the Hebrew kind of means what? In front of, next to, something like that. I don't want to.
It's puzzled. It's puzzled. Suitable in that word is puzzled. I got you. Mm-hmm. I got you, Terry. Thank you for that, Sade. And I'm going to come back to you, Pee Wee, on something.
I don't want us to miss that submission is still desirable, right? That there are women. I myself, I look forward to submitting to my husband, not my boyfriend, not a guy I'm dating, but to my husband. Correct?
You got to practice somewhere, don't you?
No, because I practice with God. I don't have to practice with you, sir. I practice by submitting to God. I ain't got to practice with you. But what I think, what I found troubling, right?
What's submission to you? Can you just define it? What it is to you?
So for me, my mother raised me that the husband is the head and that the wife is the neck, right? The head cannot move without the neck. So for me, my husband, he's the head of my household, but he comes to me and my voice matters. My support matters. If I find issue with something, that is also taken into consideration. I am following him, but I'm not following him blindly.
Yeah, that sounds like a team to me. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Right. I mean, like, listen, hey, I want us to move here. Hold up. Wait a minute. Did we think about this? What about this? And what I've learned in dating is that there are men who want you to submit, but want you to submit quietly. There's a lot of men, and I'm going to say this, in my experience, submission means control. You submit to me and I control the relationship, not I partner with you in the relationship. I literally was talking to a gentleman and he was like, oh, I'm looking for a woman who submits. I said, well, what does that look like? When I say something, it's done. I'm not the woman for you, sir.
But thank you for saying that. That's not, but Pee Wee, that's not submission. Am I correct?
That's not.
That's not submission. And here's the thing about submission. I don't want to cut you off. I'm sorry. I want you to finish your point.
All I'm saying is, no. All the thing that I think we have to understand is that people want, there are women who want to submit and there are men who want to submit to Christ in marriage. My issue with what she said though was, I'm holding him up. I'm doing, what is he doing in return? Right? What is the give and take? If I'm holding you up, I'm supporting you. And she said, but he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. That's the part where it's like, wait a minute. What am I holding up? What am I supporting? And I think we have to be clear that, and also take into context, she was in a room full of women. She was talking to nothing but women. Apparently, a woman asked her a question, and this is a response to that person's question. What I think we as Christians have to be mindful of is when we put things out there to those who do not know, this is how they perceive us. This is how they view us. There are people who have never heard of Christ who saw that video that probably said, I never want a marriage that Christ is a part of, because this means I'm subservient to my husband. Because that's how
you feel sorry. That's the way it made it look that.
Yeah, to me, in my in my opinion, the woman is to support. You didn't hear her mention how the husband is supposed to, in turn. Yeah, you cover me with your umbrella, but what does that look like? You had plenty of explanation of what I'm supposed to do as a wife, but what is his role as my husband? Gotcha, does he take me into consideration before he even brings a decision to me? Does he take my feelings into consideration? Does he take my past into what does submitting to Christ look like?
Got you. Pee-wee, if you will.
Go ahead.
Okay, Pee-wee, go ahead, and then I want to see the other red lips.
Yeah. I thought you had did you have a question for me, Dr. Graham?
Listen, let me tell you something.
Oh, before you answer, hold on. I got to do something real quick. I got to take off my hoodie. I got to take off my hoodie real quick. Hold on.
That's crazy.
Is my shirt clean?
Yeah, your shirt is clean, bro.
It's
a perfect plug. I love it.
Because this wasn't planned.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Get your life. Tell him, Pee-wee, get your life. Get your life.
And now, folks, we have the new edition. We have the new edition. That's the old edition. This is the new edition. The new edition. Yo, thank you for that, man. If anybody would like to, buy one of my books, it is on 21 Day Reset. www.21dayreset.org.
Reset and getting your life.
Chicken. I was just out getting some chicken. You know what I'm saying? All right.
Look at D said an entire mess.
An entire mess.
But here's the thing. To piggyback off of that, my wife's sitting here and she's like, look, we don't make decisions like that. We make decisions as a team. I don't make decisions on my own. And some people look, well, she's not being submissive. What are you talking about? She's not being submissive. We are a team. And if we go back to Adam and Eve, Adam was in the garden, right? He's looking at all these different animals and they have a partner. Let's look at the lion kingdom just real quick. The male lion hunts. I mean, the male lion protects the pride, right? And who does the hunting?
The woman, the lioness.
Yeah, the lionesses, they do the hunting. Does the male lion, does he have the ability to hunt?
Yes.
Yes, he does. But who does the hunting? The lioness. Now, if he's out there hunting, he can't protect. And if she's hunting, if she's protecting, she can't hunt. Look at that teamwork. Look how they work as a team. God made us a helpmeet. A help means that we both are doing something together. If I ask my wife to help me lift the table, she's going to grab one end, I'm going to grab the other, and we both lift the table. Helpmeet. Help. The woman is the weaker vessel, not from her mentality, her mental state. Physically, yes, she's a little weaker, but mentally, we're right here. We're right here together.
And we make decisions.
As a team.
Like the church board takes a vote.
The church board. Come here. Come here. Sit down.
You just sit down and just sit down. I like that. Say it again. Give us that metaphor.
No, I was just joking. I was like, the church board takes a vote. So in our household, and also you got to do what works in your household. In this household, decisions aren't just issued to me. We talk as adults, as peers, as equals, and we make decisions together. And we don't have prescribed roles. We do what works for the team. So if it works best for the team, for me to mow a lawn, then I'm mowing the lawn because I want the team to win.
Eric Thomas said that.
Yeah. Shout out to Dr.
Shout out to Dr. Eric Thomas.
But you know, our mindset is a team mindset, not a mindset where you have to do what I say. We kick the ball around like a soccer match. Like we are brainstorming ideas and coming up with ways to succeed together and to move forward together.
My brother made a good point earlier. Like I don't expect my wife to go change a tire or cut down a tree. I don't expect her to do that. Of course, that's more so my thing because I'm stronger. But if she had to do it, I'm sure she could do it.
But and I'll
So-
say
so-
this
somebody-
early on in our marriage, we had to kind of you know, beat it out because we grew up very Adventist and we did grow up with prescribed roles. And we found out early on those prescribed roles may not work for our situation. Like early on, Pee Wee did the money. I'm the man, I handle the money, I signed the checks.
Look at his face.
Yeah, but I'm better at math. So why are you C- handling the family finances and bouncing checks when I'm better at this than you?
Pee Wee,
This
got
is
C
where
minus
you
in
have
math,
to
bro.
uplift that man. You have to uplift that man.
Because she's better at
Pee-wee.
spending. Okay, I'm better at saving.
She's better at spending.
But we have to find our way in that way. Like, you know, I might be better at this, and it doesn't make you less of a man to let me, you know, handle this responsibility.
I can hear Wendy laughing upstairs.
Well, see, I think right there, it's the verbiage.
No, but that's how you
It's the
win,
verbiage.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, listen to the
That's how you
verbiage.
win.
Okay, let me say
Go
this.
ahead.
Okay,
Terry.
and I'm very, you know, high on verbiage. Wait, tell her to come back.
Oh,
Tell her
come
to
back,
Where she going? Where she going?
See?
I gotta make the kids their plates.
No, Austin can make a play. Austin can make his play. Come back. You gotta submit. Come back.
Now if I come back, I'm gonna look like I'm submissive.
It was something I wanted to say. And Sade brought up the word before, control. I don't like to use the word control. I like to use the word manage. Okay. I like to use the word manage. I got to control. I'm just trying to manage this situation. Not only that, you just said he let you. That sounds like control. So when you use certain type of words, I think you got to be, well, you know what? We have an agreement where we've decided that it's best for me to do. You see what I'm saying? Not let me or allow it. Almost sound, because I'm in the domestic violence game, and when I hear certain words, it sounds like a power and control, you know, type thing. And so I just wanted to point that out, you know. And one other thing I wanted to say is there ever a time where you or your husband feel, I sound like I'm in therapy now. Is there ever a time, you know, where you or your husband feel that your decision making is getting pushed aside versus the other one? Somebody's, you know, needs is always, oh man, you had the last 10, you know, can I get one? You know, is there ever a time? And when you get to those times, how do you do that? Because yeah, it sounds good. However, there's sometimes, let's take the money management, you know, Pee Wee like, look, now doggone it, I want to go buy me some new kicks. And, you know, since I can't do, you know, 2 + 4 and she can, you know, because he got a C-, you know, it's like, yo, and she's like, no, I know what's in there, Pee Wee, and we cannot. But I can go get me some new Louboutins or whatever they call them, because I know what's in. So I'm saying, is there ever a time where you guys get to a decision where it's like, you're not backing down, she's not backing down? Does somebody acquiesce? And how do you handle that? I think that would be good to let the masses know.
Yeah, okay, we can definitely handle that right now. As she said, we are clinicians. Mm-hmm. So the same stuff that we teach people, we try to do ourselves. So when we come to a point where we're at an impasse, we do our very best to understand the other person's side, the other person's issue. So there was a time when I felt like, man, I don't have no shoes. I would like to buy some shoes. You got all these shoes here. And you know what she said to me? Go buy some shoes.
I thought she was going to tell you to get another job.
No. She said, go buy some shoes. And she hit me with this. Nobody told you couldn't buy extra shoes or clothes. What made you think you couldn't do that? I buy extra shoes all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But see, I'm in my man zone where I can't afford to buy shoes. The kids need this.
My issue, Pee-wee, my issue with that for Paul Graham, even probably now, which is very helpful, is that roles does not equal boundaries. And what I have done in my own relationship, based on how Dee answered that, is, I'm not going to bother Wendy about certain things because I don't deal with that. And she wasn't, or we weren't creating boundaries. We were creating roles, in that sense. And so, trust me, after this, I think I'm going to go upstairs and ask her for new equipment. Can we talk about that today, Quest?
Yeah, no doubt we can. I think what's so dope about Pee-wee and Dim is that, like, for real, because you're trying to operate from the healthiest place you possibly can operate. One of my issues and I'll just use that same shoe thing, right? For me, I'm a kicks freak. Me and T, we'll go on websites and like sneakers is my thing, right? And like, for real, I always, because of the place that I grew up in and where I came from, like, money wasn't always readily accessible until, of course, we got older, did some things, and now we got a little money coming in, right? I would always live life in survival mode. So I would always have this mentality that this hood mentality. And my therapist said to me one day, "But you don't live in the hood no more. Why are you living in survival mode still?" So now when I would talk to my wife, she was like, if sneakers is your thing, and I know that sneakers is your thing, we'll put this amount of money in your budget every month so that you could go do whatever you go have a field day at the sneaker spot. Right. And I think that that's dope for a lot of people who are not trying to operate the way that y'all are operating. They're seeing life through these lenses of survival mode or whatever the lens may be, and it prevents them from getting the results. Me and you both, P, they getting the results that y'all get.
And one thing we did, let me just drop this. One thing we did is exactly what you did, Quest. We started talking to each other about the deeper meaning of what we wanted. So you did like when you're talking about the deeper meaning of the shoes and why you want these shoes and what that means to you, and expressing that deeper meaning to your spouse. So it might sound like, honey, instead of you'll never do the dishes and you get on my nerves, it might look like, baby, I grew up with a single mom, and a lot of times she would come home tired and she didn't have time to get to the dishes, and they would pile up and they would stink, and we got roaches because of that. And it really makes me feel bad to come home and see a kitchen that's a mess. It would really help if we could find a way to negotiate the dishes a little bit better.
Yeah, and that's real, because Dee Dee's the oldest child. So she started off always doing dishes as the oldest child. So when we got married, and I'm thinking, she's gonna go ahead and handle these dishes, she's like, nah. I can't do no dishes. I'm getting flashbacks.
So how do we negotiate the role of what needs to be done in our house? And what works for us in our household is everybody contributes. Us and our children all contribute to keeping the household working. So it's not just mommy's job, it's everybody's job.
But you don't do dishes though. No, for real. She does not do dishes.
But I do cooking.
She cooks.
Yeah.
I just want to pause for a second. I think this is, hold on a second, sorry. It says I clean, and I'm waiting for an affirmation from upstairs, and I don't see an affirmation.
Big deal.
She busy eating popcorn.
Go ahead, Sade. Hey, I don't know what's going on with you, Leah, but I'm gonna have like 5 questions.
There's two things.
Oh, hold on, real quick before Sade, before you go, I just want to take 2 minutes now because it sounds like the perfect time to do this, y'all. The Bridge Unscripted Live is moving to the YouTube platform in the near future, and we just want to make sure that everybody has the link. I just put it in the chat for you guys. Do me a favor, click the link. Go over by YouTube and subscribe to the channel, and then click the bell after you hit the subscribe button. Why? So you can get all of the notifications as to when we put episodes up. But yeah, come on, Sade, let's get it.
So there's two things. One, I think the thing that I heard Pee Wee and Dim say, I heard Quest say, and that we've talked about continuously, communication is vital.
That part.
Communication is important. And at 38, I would be severely disabled if I went into a dating situation and waited until marriage to have these communications. Like these are the conversations where it's like, so how do you see finances in the household? Like these are conversations to have during the dating period.
Right.
And a lot of people, for whatever reason, feel like, you know what, I'm just going to wait and see what happens. No. We're going to see we're going to plan for, because if we don't plan, we're going to fail. But I want you to highlight JoJo's comment at 8:44. Because this comment, JoJo, I don't know you, but I love you, right? But this comment is what's infuriating to me as someone who's dating, because she talks about, you know, how do we expect men to enter marriage knowing their role as a husband if 76% of our communities are coming from a single parent household? The same way my mother was a single mother. I didn't see her as a wife. I saw her as a woman. And I think a lot of times we put and that goes back to what I was saying from the beginning. There's a lot of pressure on women to be wives, whether you were taught how to do it or not, when men are not held to that same expectation, right? If I want to be a good wife, I go out and I seek older women or women who I know who are married, and I ask for guidance. I ask for, okay, so what did you do during dating? How do you manage this? How do you manage that? I think we have to hold men to that same standard, especially during this day and age where you can find anything on the internet. Find a group, find somebody to say, hey, if this is what you want to do, this is how you do it. The narrative that women hold this magical power to automatically be wives because we see it is not true. My mother, like I said, was a single parent from the time I was 6 to I was 20. I didn't see her as a wife. I saw her as a woman. And we have to be mindful that girls are growing up in single parent households the same way boys are growing up in single parent households. So we as a community have to do our part, mentorship, church, however, to make sure that marriage mindset is the mindset that's communicated. I'm done.
Gotcha. Leah, I'm just dying to hear your voice. You know, I'm just dying to hear your voice.
I'm just listening in. The conversation definitely has taken shape. There are some things that I agree with. There are some things that I do not. Biblically, are we to submit? Biblically, are we to submit to our husbands? Yes. I think Mina put it in the chat, and I kind of got stuck there, right? Like, what is this definition of submission? Because it has been kind of all over the place, right? We started out with the video, and submission to this particular woman was to uphold, right? That's an action of me having to do for a man seemingly what he's unable to do for himself. And to do that is my duty. I don't necessarily agree with that being my duty because there's some work that he needs to be able to do as well, right? So if going back to this analogy of an umbrella, right? If it's an umbrella, it doesn't have to be a cheap one. But let's just say that the wind is very high and this umbrella blows backwards. Right? Am I supposed to hold on to this umbrella and be blown away with the umbrella? Right? Or is it that we needed to make certain that before the umbrella even encountered certain situations, right, the wind, that it was in the ability to be able to withstand certain things, right? And so this is what I mean when I say going back to our choices. How do we enter into these relationships, right? With whom did we enter? What was our why? Our ownership of where the relationship goes sometimes skews our understanding and perception of what submission truly looks like. It really is about humility and respect.
Wow.
But if I get down with somebody, right, that I am trying to, morph into this space of marriage, but I really don't truly have a measure of respect for them,
then
I cannot submit when situations, right? I can go along and coast through some stuff, but when the winds blow really, really hard, I can't respect what it is that you're trying to do because I don't see you through that lens, right? I see you as an unstable, right? As like the resistance of your stability isn't there. I didn't see it from the beginning. I'm not going to see it in my marriage, and I'm not going to see it after my marriage. We have to look at ourselves when we enter into our relationships. What are we bringing to the table? What are they bringing? Who are we marrying? Why we're marrying? And as I've stated before, and I'm coming from my own experience, when I married initially in the first marriage, I married a relationship with God. I didn't marry an individual that stood there and said, I do. So when it came time to submit, the struggle I had was to God and not to him. I could easily walk away from him.
Wow. So are you saying that if I'm not talking about lying, I'm talking about during
I'm
the
talking
time
about
that,
the first marriage.
right.
I allowed the Lord to allow that to cultivate, to work with him and to work with me.
Right. Instead
in the
of
initial one, it was me damaged, trying to marry into a situation that God would have been pleased with. So I couldn't submit to the man because the man wasn't who I was after. It was God I was after.
So was I don't plead the fifth. So was this individual submitting to God?
This individual posed like he was going to submit to God.
Okay, that's very easy to do.
And it's very easy to do. And so that's what I mean when I say, who are we when we come to the table? Yes, we think a lot of times that we're doing this God's way. So it's easy to spout, the different verses in the Bible and to say, women submit to your husband. When in reality, that's not who we were marrying in the first place. We were trying to marry a right relationship with Christ, and it wasn't the individual.
Wow. I know you spelled your name wrong, but I'm with you on that one. Yeah, go ahead,
One
Doc.
quick to piggyback on what Leah's saying, and she's absolutely right. I thought about the story of Ananias and Sapphira.
My.
And when we hear that story growing up, we think it's about tithe and offering. It's not. The husband and wife are a team, but it seems like she was submitting to her husband. And the goal was to sell the property and give it all to the group. But no, he sold that property and got more than he thought. He said, "Yeah, we're gonna give them part of it." He went, lied and died because he lied to God. She came in like an hour later and followed right behind what he did.
That's a good word, Pee Wee. That's a good word.
She died. Now I'm taking Leah's example. I don't see Leah doing that in this scenario.
She said, "You and God by yourself."
Yeah,
be careful who you follow.
Go of that umbrella. It said,
hey,
no.
Be careful who you submit to.
100,000, and we kept 50. I wanted to give it all up.
But it's the understanding and it's the revisiting of the scenario to understand how and why you got into this relationship.
Exactly.
Because
My wife brought up David. My wife brought up David and Abigail. How Abigail went to David and said, "Look, Nabal tripping. We gonna give y'all some food. Don't kill us." Nabal wanted to tell David, "Get out of here. We'll support you." But Abigail was like, "Oh nah, bro. He about to wipe us all out. Hey David, take these raisins and these cakes. My husband tripping. Don't kill us." And saved everybody.
So I have a question.
Just real quick, Sade. I'm looking at JoJo's comment, right? This is why communication is crucial. And again, I believe in communication. But what happens when communication is fraudulent? Because you can have all the communications in the world doesn't mean that there was clear, honest, right, communication.
And not only that, Leah, where we filling in the gaps, because Dem and Pee Wee gave the example a while ago. I don't like the way like for real that you don't do no dishes. That's communication. Is it effective, number one, and is it filling in the gaps? Because when we sit and talk about like, yo, sweetheart, for real, when I grew up, this was the situation. That's what I call filling in the gaps now. Because now you know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And now it gives me a different perspective than I just don't like the way that you don't do dishes.
Yeah, but I mean, from the onset, you can have a whole heap of communication.
Yep.
An individual can present themselves any kind of way if they're good at it. We haven't even gotten into individuals who possess a measure of personality disorder that can show up any kind of way.
From Detroit players.
Bless him, from the Himalaya. But I'm just saying, right? The reality is that it is not just as simple as we try to present this thing. Relationships are complex.
And the other part is sometimes we don't know what to communicate the issue could be or what it is, right? If I have not done the work, I can't tell my spouse, I don't like washing dishes because this happened when I was a child and that I just know I don't like washing dishes, right? So I think the other part of it is that we have to, we talk about it, go sit in front of somebody and understand like, why does that bother me so much? Because I have to be able to communicate that to somebody else and not just say, I don't want to wash dishes, right? But I think the other thing we have to think about is as we grow in Christ, right? Does the need of our umbrella change, right? So, because I have a baby umbrella, you know, a nice little baby umbrella, a nice little toy umbrella. But as I grow and develop, as our relationship grows and develops, as our relationship changes, as outside influences make our relationship tough, just life, career changes, finances, kids, all of these things. Are we still using that same umbrella we got married with, or are we also investigating the health of our umbrella? I think that's a lot of people don't do is we don't investigate the health of that umbrella because that umbrella is withstanding a lot, weather changes and all these things. And if we're saying we got married and it's the same umbrella we're going to use for the rest of our lives and we're not going to investigate the health of it, we are setting ourselves up for failure any way it goes.
Yeah, I
love
think
that.
what Sharday is talking about, I like to use it in the example of sharks. You see what I'm saying? If you don't get a bigger umbrella, you're not gonna move from what out of that. You know, you got to get so sharks, you can put a shark in a small tank and he'll never outgrow that tank. But if you put him in a big ocean, he'll get big as he, you see what I'm saying? So you need a bigger umbrella as you move and you change. One of the things too that we have to take, what we have to take into accountability is, do people even know what communication means? Do people even know how to communicate? You see what I'm saying? There's 3 steps in the communication, process. 1 is to make contact. 2 is to consider the source. And 3 is to assist in a plan of action. That's the steps in the communication process. Okay, I'm making contact. Not coming in, slamming doors, not saying nothing, breathing hard. I'm making contact. Listen, I got a problem with so-and-so. Okay, tell me. You got to be open. You got to want to be open. Is there a good time to have this? Is this a good time to have this conversation? Because it might not be a good time to have this conversation. You know, I do a thing in therapy called timeout versus walking away. You see what I'm saying? Timeout versus walking away. And timeout is always better than walking away from a situation. But you have to be able to communicate that. And a lot of people don't know how to communicate. That's it, period. You say one thing, you fly in your emotion mind, and that's when your thoughts and behaviors are primarily driven by your current emotional state. So you think it, you say it, you do it. That's poor impulse control. You think it, you say it, you do it, you react off of it. Move to your wise mind. I'm talking dialectics now. Move to your wise mind. Move to your reasonable mind. That's what we should be trying to get to. But, I think JoJo has put up a lot of things where, she's talking about coming from single parenthood. I do domestic violence classes. Leah does too, and Leah can probably attest to this. I have so many guys that got kids sprinkled all over the continental U.S.
Wow.
Okay, out of a 26-year-old that had 8 kids.
Jesus.
8 kids at 26. I'm like, dude, you got more kids than some of your grandparents. How you got this many kids? And I can't even tell you how many women were involved. And these women are pushing out babies for men they wouldn't even want their daughters to date. It makes no sense. There are no more role models. We were talking about daycare. When I was growing up, there was no such thing as daycare. Go back and think about it. There was either it was grandma, Sister Johnson at the church, or the old lady in the neighborhood that kept all the kids. There was no such thing as daycare. So we've gotten away from, we have no role models, no nothing, and people just raw dogging everywhere and dropping kids everywhere they go. Just, it doesn't even matter. No marriage. Nobody's talking about marriage.
You said raw dogging? You said raw dogging?
Say raw dogging.
Well, that's how you get it. I'm sorry. I thought this was this not an adult show. My bad.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about. But you knew what I was talking about, didn't you, Paul? You knew what I was talking about. And so people are just thinking and literally just litters everywhere you go, everywhere you go, everywhere you go. And I'm like, wow. So nobody, well, Dr. Parks, we ain't gotta, I ain't gotta be married to have a family. Yes, you do, because if not, you just a dude with some kids. That's it. You just a dude. Wow. Now I used another word, it rhymes with trigger, but you just, you just a dude with some kids. What kind of house that a family?
Go figure.
You live with your family. You under the same umbrella with your family. Umbrella. You're under the same one. Not you living over here and you seeing them every other weekend or when you can get them and all that kind of stuff. And this is what goes on. We have no role models. The internet, Instagram, everything has just made everything trash. You see how many relationship shows are on TV, on the thing, and nobody's having a good one. But everybody's giving advice. Everybody got advice.
I guess for me, to what you were saying about, the timeout versus, the walking away. And I agree again to a point. I guess I'm always the one that always tries to ruffle up some feathers just a tad bit. But when we talk about, which one is better than another, I think we have to look at it per incident, right? When we give generalize like this woman, right? She's setting it off like a generality. This is how women should function. This is how women should operate. And again, I just want us to be mindful that sometimes it can put a woman in a very dangerous situation by trying to strive with and submit. We have to look at what is going on within that relationship, right? Doing the whole DV stuff, right? You can be putting a woman in position to die.
Yep. Yep.
Literally to die. And so I often just want us to be mindful for our listening audience, because it may be, I remember when I was coming up out of my first marriage, right on the cusp of it, right? And I separated, right? I did the timeout scenario. And, you have a lot of these other influences that kind of come in. And one of which I had just had our daughter, and it was, you're keeping me from my 2 a.m. feedings. And so my heart is melting, right? It's that whole desire for family. It's melting. And I remember I said, all right, I'm going to try this, with tears strolling down my face. And my father looked at me, and this is what he said. And I'm going back to this whole Christian perspective towards marital relationships and remaining. Now, my dad was hardcore. He wouldn't let nobody mess with his baby. When we were, I'm dating different dudes, his thing is, do you believe in God? Don't call my house no more. That's how raw he was, period. You don't believe in God, you ain't got nothing. Nothing is coming for my daughter. For my baby, period. This man, though, was an Adventist, right? He believed in God. He could quote Ellen G. White. Oh, he was pristine. The presentation was there. And my father desired that, right? So remember, I'm saying what I'm marrying is Christ and not the individual, right? I remember my father looked at me and he said, Leah, go be the best wife you can. And he released me back out the door to the man. Go be the action, the best wife that you can. There was no conversation of, is this man the best husband to support you as a wife? But because he believed in God and we believe in the word of God, it was follow this, right? And so I think, again, we have to be very mindful and very cautious when we have these types of conversations, because it potentially could lead to the demise, not of the woman, but the children as well.
Right.
Let me say this real quick.
Real quick before we jump off, I just want everybody to know that the 10-minute bell has rung. And I want to take the opportunity to let everybody know before we jump off in, and y'all know about our time, that thank you so much for tuning in. And we'd love for you to take a moment to visit our YouTube channel. I'll put the link inside the chat. We want you to subscribe and click the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when the episodes are released. And we're building something special here, and we want you to be a part from the very beginning. So thank y'all for your support, and we can't wait to grow with you. Just check the link in the chat, and yeah, just remember we got 10 minutes.
It's just gonna be 2 seconds. 2 seconds.
Right. So Terry, then Sade, and then I'm going to ask my question right around the clock.
Yep.
So,
right around the clock.
And I've been doing DV for a long time. Okay.
Come on.
I'm an expert in that. I understood what Leah was saying. When I talk about timeout versus walking away, I don't tell a woman to stay in a domestic violence, situation. And guess what? I don't even tell her to leave. That's a decision she has to make. And I will say, you need to do what you need to do to keep you and those kids safe. Because statistics show that a woman will leave up to 9 times before she leaves for good. Wow. And what you find a lot of times is if you tell a woman to leave, she will go back and say, my therapist, so now I got to deal with a husband. You see what I'm saying? Now I got to deal with you told Harpo to beat me type mentality. I said, do you feel safe in this? Here are some places you can call. Here are some things you can do. Because if this is your first go round, you got 8 more before you see what I'm saying? And so when we talk about timeout versus walking away, I'm saying in situations before, you see what I'm saying, we get to that point of hands-on and going violence and say, okay, have we tried this? Have we tried that? And when you do a timeout versus walking away, a timeout is more so people, when they start, you need to give your kid a timeout. And people don't even know how it's used. There are several steps. I'm not going to go into them tonight. But when you put a kid in timeout, a lot of times you forgot about the kid. And so the timeout was for who then? It was for the parent. You see what I'm saying? And so now the timeout has to be it's like a treatment plan. This is a case by case. You don't do a cookie cutter treatment plan. You do it case by case. It's like an IEP. Sade, this works for this kid. This works for this kid. This works for this kid. You can't just do a global thing. So when you're talking about timeout, hey, I need a breather. I just got in the house. Give me 10 minutes. Give me 5. Give me. You see what I'm saying? Then we can come back and discuss this. And so,
I like what you just said, Terry, before we close off with Sade. I never saw it that way before, that the timeout is really for you and not for the child.
Yeah.
I've never seen it that way before. And
because parents have temper tantrums.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I got you. Something to think about. Something to think about. Never saw it that way before.
Yeah, I think it's for both though, right? Because the need for regulating self as well helps in that timeout space. So for the parent as well as that child, contending, right, depending on what the behavioral presentation is or what may be happening within them emotionally, I think it helps for both.
But it has to it does, but it has to serve a purpose. I'm talking about when you just throw them in the room and there's no purpose. When I used to do what I did with my kids. So when I come back, we're gonna discuss what you did, you know, why I forgot, how does it go? Tell me, you're gonna discuss what you did, why it was not I can't even think of the word, and what do you plan on doing in the future? You see what I'm saying? What you did, why it was wrong, and what do you plan on doing in the future? That's when timeout works. This is what I did. It was wrong because what I plan to do in the future is, and as they got older, now you got to start writing it. You see what I'm saying? And I'm sending you back if you got grammatical errors. So it's like, so now you're learning a couple of things while you in timeout. You see what I'm saying? You're learning a couple of things. So when you talk about putting it, if it's a little kid, you put a timer in there. When this goes off, I'm coming back. Okay, so tell me, what did you do? Why it was wrong? Blah, blah, blah. As you get older, now we starting to write it. Oh, you got some grammatics in here. I can't read that. All right.
So can Sade do that for her mate?
Yeah.
Timeout.
But I don't think it's called timeout in a relationship, because what I know for me is when I'm highly emotionally charged, it's in our best interest that I put myself in timeout. You don't have to put me in timeout.
You're flooded.
I gotta go. I need to go, because if I speak right now, what I say will be all feelings and not facts. And I don't want to speak from my.
But that's why you argue naked.
Okay. I was just waiting for
I'm for that.
It works.
Naked.
It works. Argue naked. That's what I tell my couples.
For that.
I'm talking about arguing naked.
I agree.
It changes. You can.
But it ain't nothing there. You can be booty naked, and it ain't gonna do nothing.
Can I agree?
Don't have
I like to throw this in there.
Don't have any knives.
Can I agree with the good doctor? Can I agree with the good doctor?
You can.
Good doctor. What saying is what I just said. The word flooded.
Yeah.
When Dr. John Gottman talks about being flooded, in relationships and arguments, it's basically when your heart rate gets to a certain point, you're not thinking very rationally. You can't put your words together, and you're angry. So when you tell your partner, this is what me and Didi do. Hey, I'm flooded right now. I'm at that point where I might start cussing. So let's just stop this. Let's revisit it after we had time to calm down and come back.
But it's important to set a time.
Yeah, it's important to set a time for it.
Yeah, so it's important not to just leave the conversation, because that can make your partner feel abandoned, and that's going to make them angrier. So what we do, is set a time. So, right, baby, I'm flooded right now. Let's revisit this at 7:30 p.m. Yeah. And during that time, you don't just leave. You leave and self-regulate during that time. That's the time you take to leave your partner, leave the room, calm yourself down, and prepare yourself. Sometimes I might jot some notes down. So when we come back to have the conversation, I have my thoughts in line, and I know what I want to say, and I can talk about it without all of the extra.
No, she write the notes. I know I'm losing. I know I'm gonna lose.
No, that's right. That is exactly my point.
About winning or losing, the conversation is bringing the team together to solve a problem.
And the timeout process can process can fail if it's not an agreed upon strategy by you and your partner.
Right. Yes, sir.
Well, no, you're right. But we do agree to it, though.
I wasn't talking about you guys. I'm putting that out there.
Right. Philip Michael makes that comment right when you said it, Terry. He made that comment.
All right, and just because you don't need a timeout, don't mean that you shouldn't extend one.
I just wondered what Lonnie Love meant by that boy good. I don't know, Leah.
Look, I don't know neither.
Lonnie gonna be arguing naked tonight.
With a cast on. With a cast on.
Look, right, with toes leaning this way.
Hey, just take you a scoop of Naturally Man, and you'll be good to go.
Here we go. I just want us to make it through one. I want to say something before you ask your question.
Okay.
The way we talk about on this when we're together is, we have to come back to the table and evaluate certain things. I think as a relationship grows, submission can change. And I think those conversations also have to be part of the relationship dynamic. Like, let's sit down and talk about, okay, so we have a baby now, and your mom is sick and we're taking care of her. Like, all of these things are happening. What does submission look like to us during this season? I think to make it a blanket, we get married, this is what it looks like, and it never changes, is what stifles relationships from actually being able to grow in Christ through that submission process. Because my relationship with Christ is going to change, right? Mm-hmm. So if that can change, my relationship with you is going to change, and we have to come back to the table and say, hold up, player.
Sade, people laugh when I tell people I'm on my third or fourth marriage with Faith. like for real, we've evolved and changed during the seasons in our marriage where it was in the beginning. The person I married ain't the person I'm married to. And right. just like we said, and I think Leah hinted on it earlier on, once again, it's the communication and the constant. There's some conversations that are a day long or 3 days long, a month long, but then there's some that are ongoing. And those are the conversations that are ongoing as you matriculate through the different seasons of life. Hey, we just had a baby. Hey, we just hit 10 years. Hey, we just, bought a new house. Like, we got 3 children. Now we got a grandchild. What does submission look like for us in these seasons of life as we matriculate through? So yeah,
that's my question. Okay, could you get out of my?
My bad. My bad.
Thing of submission is not just about like being underfoot. Can we just
that part?
Take that off the table, because I think that's what tends to be, what that narrative looks like.
Yeah,
it's more about respect and humility, right?
Don't get us in trouble, Pete. Don't get us
in
trouble.
We ain't get no trouble. So the question, and we're going to start with our lovely guest that drove and got the jerk fit, and now they 1-8 while the other one was on. You know what I'm saying? And now he's got to heat up the food afterwards.
She waited for me. Don't do that. She waited for me.
Oh, she waited for me. Why don't y'all just go? Here's the question for the both of y'all, but both of y'all got to answer this, please, just in a sentence form. The question simply is, what does submission look like to you personally? That's for you and Dee Dee. Come on.
You want to go first? I think submission looks like this. I care about her feelings, and she cares about my feelings, and that's where we meet.
Beautiful. Well, guys, you don't have to stay in the green room. We stay in the green room and talk and carry on afterwards, but want to thank the both of y'all for just being a part of this. We miss our Armina today, but we're so glad. Oh, she's in the chat?
She's in the chat.
Okay, girl.
Thanks for that. I'm gonna go on this last little thing. This is a quote from Noah Washington years ago. He said, "You should never be satisfied with your relationship with God." And I like to equate that to your marriage. You should never be satisfied with where your marriage is. It should always be improving. So I'm just gonna leave you with that.
I want to thank y'all. And the both of you, I'm just gonna say this to the both of you. Y'all need to consider a podcast. All right, y'all. Y'all take care. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love them, man. I love them. He was the guy that, He was the guy that got me straight. That's it. Sade, let's go.
What does submission look like to me? It's so much, but to put it in one sentence, for me, I believe that my submission to whomever I marry looks like allowing my weaknesses to be part of his process and his weaknesses of being part of mine. Understanding and standing in the gap in those spaces where we need each other to stand in the gap. And not being, and I did a Dear Future Husband post about it one day. I was like, Dear Future Husband, if you ever come to me with an idea and I don't agree with it, I'm not going to come to you with that, right? I believe submission also means that I have a direct ear to God as well. And if he's saying something to him, like he's saying, like, God told me to do this. Hey, God, hey, I don't know what you're doing, but can you give me the clarity that I need to support him in what he says you're leading him to do? So for me, that's what submission looks like.
I like. You're growing, sis. You're growing. We'll see you in the we see you in the room. We'll see you in the room. We'll see you in the room. Terry.
I think submission is on the same level of love. I think it's dying to self daily. That's what it is. It's a selfless act. You see what I'm saying? And you have so many problems in marriage because people are selfish. They have not let that go. Leah probably knows, what I'm talking about when I say some people have an overactive id. You see what I'm saying? You never grew out of that, what are those 3 energy systems that make up, the personality, id, ego, super ego. Some people get stuck in the id, which is a part that, is always about me, always thinking about me, and I want to do things that make me feel good and avoid the things that, make me feel bad or hurt or whatever. And so you get stuck in that. And so now it's like, well, why am I going to do this if you're not doing this? I'm not going to do this. Like you heard it tonight, yeah, I love to submit. I love to follow. But if you can't drive, why am I getting in the car with you? And so the deal is, it's like, I believe submission is what? Dying to self daily. I got to die to self. I got to die to self. I got to die to self. I think Paul said that, right? Not you, Paul. But Paul said
it, and Peter echoes it also.
Yeah, die to self daily. You have to put your needs, and that person's meeting your needs, and you're meeting theirs. Man, that's a beautiful thing. That is a beautiful thing to be in. That's what I think submission is.
Got you. Listen, man, thank you so much. I love your 2 cents. Always love your 2 cents. Come on, Leah. You stayed quiet, but then you took over the last 20 minutes. You are a lion. Come on.
But that's why I stayed quiet.
Come on, girl.
I'll take over. Because I tend to always have kind of like, differing viewpoint on some things. And I have to be honest that it is based upon my life experience, right?
Understood.
And I think that we all bring that to the table. Different experiences is going to shape, right, our responses accordingly. But to answer the question, what my thoughts are on submission, I would say listening in and giving consideration.
Wow.
I'm no longer at a point of being just led in a space where I don't necessarily believe in the direction. So I'm, weighing and balancing what is being presented. And so sometimes I know, I might need to fall back, and that's what I do. And then other times where even, submitting may look like leadership, but it is submitting to the cause of what's necessary at that particular time for the unit. And so, I just say, kind of knowing when I need to lean in and when I need to fall back, and doing it all in service and love for the entire unit so that we thrive and we make it. Yeah.
So thank you for allowing us through your voice to thrive tonight. I really appreciate what you brought to the table tonight. And we'll see you in the room. Okay.
P, what does it look like for you?
I've got to tell you what I've learned tonight. It looks like what I've learned tonight because my upbringing is totally different. Right? I pastored in the 90s, in the 2000s, in the 2010s. Now I'm pastoring in the 2020s. I wasn't taught that. What I've learned tonight by Leah and Sade and Pee Wee and Dee Dee, what I've learned tonight also by Terry, is that this thing looks differently from what the church teaches, from what I've learned in the Caribbean household, what I've seen in the Southern household is totally different. So what I believe submission is and I'm still stuck on this, is allowing my wife to have her own relationship with God.
Yep.
Allowing her to submit to God.
Yep.
And allowing myself to be vulnerable to God.
Yep.
So that when she decides to submit to me, she will see who I'm submitting to. Yep. And I know that sounds a little bit sermonish or what have you. I'm only saying what I've learned tonight. That's all that I'm saying, what I've learned tonight. And go ahead.
No. So if that's what it is for you, I'll share with you what it is for me, right?
Okay.
Submission to me.
Before you do that, I just want to lift up what Armina says for her. She couldn't be on with us tonight, but she says, for me, submission doesn't mean losing my voice, dimming my light,
or becoming less than.
Yeah. For many, especially women of faith, submission is about mutual respect, trust, and alignment, not powerlessness. Yeah. And I think that's
really along the lines of, real quick, Jojo, Mia just dropped it in the Mina just dropped it, the link that you're looking for. It's right there. She just dropped it. Yep, there she goes. Yep. So for me, it's along the lines of Mina, right? Submission to me looks like Faith's life should be better simply because I'm a part of it. Right. And when I say that, I'm saying
not because you're controlling it. Not because you're controlling it.
Not because I'm controlling it. I don't want to control. The way me and Faith live life is similar to the way that Pee Wee and Dee Dee live life, right? We're a team. Sometimes she's better. She takes pole position and she tells me what to do. Sometimes I'm better. I take pole position and tell her what to do. But at the end of the day, the established and agreed upon goal is to win. Now, there's some specific established and agreed upon goals, and submitting looks like me, like, what is the plan, where we sit and we talk as teammates. I have an idea. You have an idea. Let's agree upon which one is the better idea, and then let's attack it. And if we find out that your idea doesn't work while we're on the way to our agreed upon established goal, then let's try mine. And if not, then we get some help as to how we do it. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure that everything you experience in life is better because I'm in it through service.
Got it. Serving who?
Serving her. Serving God while I serve her.
That's it. I got you. Quest Man, thanks for bothering us tonight.
Yeah.
Sharing with us tonight. But I'm gonna leave on this note, right? Because I can.
Five, you're doing a remix or what?
That's all. And
oh my gosh. Yeah. So while he playing the joints in the back, please do remember, guys, that we are traveling. We are moving very soon to the YouTube platform. And I dropped the link inside the chat. So do me a favor, please click the link. Don't get us in trouble, P. Don't get us in trouble, P. Don't get us in trouble, P. Right?
You're right. You're right.
They're gonna cut. You know what I'm saying? See, no, he trigger happy now.
All right, so I'm trigger happy.
You gonna get us in trouble? You gonna get us in trouble? I'm not paying. I'm not paying. That's all I'm telling you. You about to get us to pay before we even. All right, P. P. When they hear it, they're gonna.